Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hub on Vital MX, your one-stop shop for motocross news from around the world. And it's been exceptionally busy. Fair to say that the worldwide motocross calendar is well underway at this point, but we'll start with Monster Energy AMA Supercross news and Max Anstey, who is out for the remainder of the Supercross season. 1 point down on Tom Vial entering Birmingham. He crashed in practice and suffered a broken fibula. Now, it could have been so much worse. My first thought went to Achilles or maybe ACL. The good news is that he should be back on a bike in around 6 weeks, all being well, which will give him adequate time, let's say, to prepare for outdoors. But of course, that doesn't help. The crushing blow for his championship aspirations are gone. Elsewhere, in Supercross, Ken Roxon is dealing with an AC separation in his shoulder. That occurred on the Friday of the weekend off. He wasn't entirely sure how it was going to go in Birmingham. Press day was a test that went fairly well. He aggravated the injury somewhat in timed qualification on Saturday, which didn't help, but he came out with a respectable scorecard from the Triple Crown, and I'm sure that he's very happy that he turned up and raced. His plan moving forward is to continue to see what he can do, see what the shoulder allows. I guess that his midweek prep will be fairly limited, but he's committed to finishing out this season, and based on how close he was to the podium in Birmingham, I don't think that we will see much of a performance drop-off. Just hopefully the injury is not further aggravated and not turned into something more serious. Another rider who is fighting through it is Justin Hill, who went down extremely hard in timed qualification in Birmingham and jacked up his ankle. He too managed to race and do respectably well. I believe he was around 11th overall, and he will do all he can to get back to 100% as quickly as possible, but he's in for Seattle despite the jacked up ankle. And more positive news, I guess, is Carson Mumford of Quadlock Honda, who was on the verge of potentially a maiden podium finish in Alabama, but went down in the first turn of the final main event, and it looked as though he had damaged his Achilles, his ankle, something in that region, but he took to social media to say the following: "I was feeling great all day, riding like I do every day at the practice track. I knew our hard work was going to show, and it really was all day. Unfortunately, I went down at the start of the last main and my leg got run over. The x-rays came back good, and it looks like just a sprained ankle." Again, could have been so much worse. So positive news for Mumford, who now should set his sights on a podium across the remaining races. It's going to be tough. 2 East-West showdowns to come, but there are some individual East main events where he could shine. Some off-track news that I guess we should feature here is the fact that Hayden Deegan was arrested on Friday night for doing donuts in a parking lot. Now, it wasn't the most dramatic thing in the world. He was released on the same night, but in the interest of giving you all of the motocross news from around the world, I felt as though we should feature it here in the Hub. He will, of course, be racing in Seattle this weekend, where he has a healthy lead in 250 SX West. The off-weekend shenanigans will be put behind him, and hey, he is most likely the favourite to win that class and the championship come Salt Lake City. Now, before we look ahead to this weekend, let's jump out of the USA and look at what's going on elsewhere in the world. The third round of the FIM Motocross World Championship was run in France at Saint-Jean-d'Angely, a famous venue, of course. Maxime Renault, after the race, confirmed that he did indeed suffer a hand injury prior to the second round. 2 broken metacarpal in his hand required surgery on the Wednesday before the second round, and that is now official. We alluded to it last week, of course, but nice to see that made official. A blight a little bit late. Would have been nice to know this prior to the second round rather than after the third round. He is now third in the championship and 46 points behind Tim Geiser. Romain Fevre is second, 29 behind, but hard to imagine it's going to be too easy for Renault to claw back 46 points on Geiser, who appears to be just unstoppable right now. I think that's fair to say. Renault will continue to race through the injury and expects to be a lot better when the series arrives in Sardinia after a weekend off. Sardinia will mark the return of Jeffrey Hurlings, and there were rumours going around at the weekend that Jeffrey Hurlings had sustained another injury. But I have spoken to all involved, and he is completely fine. There is no issue at all, and he will make his 2025 debut at the first round of the Dutch Masters Championship this weekend, and then head to the MXGP of Sardinia for his international debut, if you want to call it that. Just one more bit of injury news from France is Alberto Ferrato re-injured his knee that he had just come back from. There's no details on the extent of the knee injury at the moment, so hopefully it's just a sprain or a stinger, but it doesn't sound overly positive. So watch this space for Alberto Ferrato news. Now, leaving Europe, heading to Australia, the first round of the ProMX Championship was run down under. Jed Beaton went 2-1 for the MX1 overall win, so he has started his title bid in brilliant form. Kyle Webster, the defending champion, won the first moto and then crashed out of the second in spectacular fashion. He took to social media to confirm that he is feeling pretty beaten up, but he's very lucky to be walking away with no serious injuries. So it sounds as though he will be back for round 2, but he will have to dig himself out of a hole to catch Jed Beaton. 22 points, to be exact, is the deficit. Webster's MX2 teammate Brodie Connolly went 1-1, which is no surprise. He is very much the class of the field in MX2 in Australia. He really should be racing internationally by this point, I think it's fair to state. So, what's happening this weekend? Well, we have another round 11 of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Series in Seattle. It's very, very wet there at the moment. It's raining every day this week, but Saturday looks fine. Now, in the past, we have learnt that as long as it's not raining on race day or around race time, Dirtworks can do enough to salvage the track. So I feel fairly confident, but the fact that they are building it in rain, in slop, in wet conditions makes me slightly concerned. Watch this space on that as well, I guess. It is unlikely to be a dry race, let's put it that way, but what sort of mudder it is yet to be determined. What I can tell you is that press day has been cancelled already, not a positive sign. We will still be in the pits on Friday, though, trying to get whatever interviews we can. So you can still stay tuned to Vital MX for more from Seattle. And in Europe, the first round of the Dutch Masters will take place, as I said, with Jeffrey Hurlings in action, among other MXGP stars. And in the UK, the first round of the ACU British Championship will take place at Hawkstone Park. Quite interesting to keep an eye on the British Championship this year, as it is under new management and undergone quite drastic changes, I would say. I believe there is going to be a free live stream of that as well, so worth tuning in there. I'll share the link on social media. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning into The Hub on Vital MX, your one-stop shop for motocross news, and we will be back in 7 days' time with a lot more from the world of motocross.